Outstanding performance. I mean, you used the word spirit to start with, but I think the word that really hit the nail on the head for me was belief. They now have a belief that what they're doing is right, and he's going to take them all the way. That was a supreme performance.
Doesn't it feel like Richmond in 2017? It feels like a similar storyline. Obviously, Richmond had that long drought for 30 years. Rui's made the comparisons with their actual game style. But the energy and emotion and this whole storyline around Melbourne feels like that Richmond run of 2017.
Sounds like he's jumped on your bandwagon, Rui. Let's have a look at the forward player of the match. It's very difficult to go past Clayton Oliver, isn't it? He was everywhere. He was involved in everything.
Oh. Yeah, 33 touches, really, clearly best on ground.
Yeah, it was interesting speaking to Chris Fagan in the pre-match, wasn't it, that plan A wasn't to go out and try and nullify him right away from the start, and if he starts to hurt us, well, then we'll go to plan B. Well, I'm not sure if they went to plan B, but plan A didn't work, plan B didn't work, and if they had a plan C, I'm not sure that would have worked either, because he was absolutely everywhere. He's built for finals, this man, the way he plays. He was just so clean. I mean, his cleanliness stood out. It was a bit of a slow start for him, and then he wins that sort of ball that was bobbling around, the snap around the corner to get his game going, and just didn't relent at any stage.
Surprised Brisbane didn't put Berry to him, but he's a terrific player. He's got great balance. Petracca is probably the most attacking mid. He's almost like your centre mid in soccer terms, you know. So he does play that attacking role, but he's your bull in around the stoppages. He's so clever with his... Clever by foot and by hands, clearly.
I tell you what, when you have a look at his last fortnight, he needs to become plan A when we get to preliminary final day, because you cannot let this man run rampant like this.
Don't get beaten by what you know. You know he's the architect of so much of that last little bit of vision that we saw where he coughed it up the first time, followed up, won it back. That ball was done. He had no right to get that ball out and then start that next foray forward for the D's, but he finds a way. So, yeah, I'm a bit surprised they didn't go after him.
I just think he's become a lot more polished in attack now. I mean, we know he used to be able to be brilliant around clearances. He'd feed the ball out, but he links, he runs forward, he hits targets, and he's actually starting to kick goals.
At times last year, he slaughtered the footy with his feet.
Yeah.
And it was a real issue, I think, for him. But he corrected it the second half of the year, and there's, you know, it's no surprise he's one of the favourites for the Brownlow.
And I think some of that's decision making too, as in what to do with the ball when you do get it. Brownie, you've got a zero lab for us. It just shows exactly how good the D's were tonight.
Let's try and encapsulate the D's in one piece of vision. So this was from late in the second quarter. Yeah, they in all facets of the game, they were magnificent, I thought. So their aerial presence, fantastic. 12-1 the contested marks on the night. Jackson was symbolic of all their big men. They competed really well in the air. They brought it to ground. There's Oliver with his kicking skills, Josie, you just mentioned. So they were composed under pressure of this big final. They kicked it really well. Their forwards were able to find holes. They exposed the Lions defenders with their poor positioning. And then have a look at that. The delivery inside 50 was terrific, and clearly by the scoreline, 13-15, they should have been a bigger margin. But I just thought that bit of vision encapsulated them for the night, and they dominated contest to contest. They always had more Melbourne jumpers in the screen than the Brisbane jumpers.
Brownie, what happened? We saw involved in the play there. What happened to your man Harris Andrews tonight? We thought he was going to be a huge inclusion for the Lions. It didn't quite pan out that way.
Not making excuses. I think he's injured. He's been carrying injury all year. His knee's been crook. He came back into the side tonight and clearly played injured. Now, Harris has had some games where he looks all at sea, which is frustrating. So I guess there's no excuse because you put your hand up to go out there and play. And tonight, for whatever reason, he was just... he had no impact on the game, really, did he, really?
Injuries can't excuse some of his positioning. I mean, he looked disinterested at times tonight. Like, that's a pretty big statement, but... it is not the player that has been such a force for Brisbane when he's up and about. He plays with an arrogance at times, and sometimes it serves him really well. I thought tonight he tried to do things on his own term. Injury or not, it doesn't excuse going nowhere near your opponent.
You couple that with Darcy Gardner, who looked really underdone. They needed to rush him back. To me, Marcus Adams battled a lone hand down there, almost trying to stymie what was happening every time the ball came forward. Dane Zorgo was another senior player, Rui, that they were able to curb. He had no impact tonight.
Yeah, he's been in super form too. Last half of the season, he's been one of the highest rated players in the competition. Have a look at this. He's averaging 8 score involvements a game, number 2 in the AFL. 0 score involvements tonight. So you want to talk about the Melbourne system. You know, Lachie Neale's won a stack of the footy. No impact. Zane Zorko, he's still won his share of the ball, but they don't allow the opposition to hurt them. Okay, we're going to sacrifice winning, you winning the ball at the source, but we know our system is going to protect us from you exerting any sort of damage on the scoreboard. So it's just a massive tick. So again, to back over that Richmond stuff, they lost the clearance game tonight, Melbourne, by 9 points. Outscored by 9 points from clearance. Won the turnover game by 40. That's finals footy.
All right, let's head back to the Adelaide Oval. Winners are grinners. And this man, he just, everything that came his way, he mopped it up. Stephen May, congratulations on an outstanding performance. You must be thrilled with the whole game plan from Melbourne tonight. It was perfect from start to finish.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. Mate, I'm super stoked. Brisbane are a quality outfit, high-scoring side, and we knew that they were going to surge the ball forward, and it was going to be a lot of one-on-one contests. So, I'm super proud of everyone tonight. We execute our game plan, perfectly.
Tell us about your individual battle with Joe Danaher, because he had no impact on the game. You looked like you had him covered.
Yeah, Big Joe, obviously he's one of their barometers, I guess. He can launch goals from outside 50, and I think when he kicks a fair few goals, they're a big chance of winning. So I certainly have my work cut out for him. He took me a bit high tonight, so I was trying to adjust to that a bit, but I sort of thought if he's going to take me high, he can't kick goals from, half back, so I wasn't too fussed about that.
Steve, you were able to establish your game style tonight right from the get-go. Did you feel that going into half-time? Because to us, it looked like an absolute demolition across the board, especially from midfield.
Yeah, mate. Brownie, they were outstanding, our mids. I think they just keep getting better and better. Clary and Track and Viney and Gorney, obviously they're all quality players, but we just wanted to kick it down the line and try and pop from the contest, because we thought we could probably get Brisbane out the back if we could win a few of those in between the arcs contests. And those guys, although I don't know how we went in the centre clearances, they were making the ball dirty and high ball, so gave us backs a chance to defend it.
Steve, well done, mates. I know you would have seen your old teammate Tom Lynch go to Richmond, win a couple of flags. He's picked the right club there, Tom. He's a pretty smart man. Does it feel like your turn now?
Yeah, thanks, Roo. It's I got a message. I've got a few messages from him and Presty the last few days, just saying enjoy it and go. It's your time. You guys can do anything. So having those guys who've been in this situation and left the club and taken a risk, and those boys found success pretty quickly. And I've taken a bit of a different path, but I wouldn't change it. The last couple of years we've built some great foundations and established our resilience, and now we really feel like we have a real chance at having a crack at this thing.
Stephen, we know that the game is so much better when it's played in front of a crowd. Last night, it was very much a parochial Port Adelaide crowd. Tell us about the crowd tonight. How did it feel for you?
Chief, it was unbelievable. The last few weeks we've had no crowd, and running out here in the raw, like the real raw, and kicking goals and that, feeding off that sort of energy was unbelievable. Even when the Brisbane fans were getting into us, I don't mind it. If blokes are getting into you and booing you, sometimes you're doing something right. So yeah, I loved it, mate. I'm looking forward to the next game. I'm a bit flat. We got a week off. I want to go and play again.
And what does the next 24 to 48 hours look like for you, Steve?
We just had a little chat then with Burjo, the self-proclaimed fitness guru, and he's going to set up a little program for us to attack the next 2 weeks, because obviously we won't have a game, but I think we'll enjoy the win, review it. There's certainly learnings we can take out of tonight, and get the bodies right and prepare for the biggest game of our careers, I suppose.
So Stephen, the bye is still floating. What are your thoughts on that? Would you prefer that not to be there?
I think so, given that we have the week off now, and then probably play and then have a week off. So I don't know. I think it's a bit more of a flexibility thing given the COVID situation. So look, Chief, if we got a spot in the granny, I'll play whenever, mate. I've been waiting a long time.
A prelim final a few years ago, another one, same place, mate, over in Perth. A little bit of deja vu.
Yeah, look, I wasn't here, but the boys, would really love that game again. It's obviously hurt them for the last couple of years. So if we're lucky enough to get up and win that game and get a spot in the big dance, all these guys would love it.
You're a star, mate. We enjoyed the performance tonight. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in action again in the preliminary final.
Thanks, fellas. Cheers, take care.
He's a ripper.
Loved his
He's a ripper,
performance,
isn't he?
but especially loved him calling you chief.
How good. Twice.
So good.
Well done.
How reliable a defender is he?
Yeah, he has.
Great to go Pickett. Oh, I think he would have played on.
Yeah.
He certainly played on me. He absolutely destroyed me one day.
He was always a guy that had a really good first effort, but I thought you could get him on the second. No, not anymore.
He's got fitter.
He's complete. He's gotten much fitter.
Yeah.
I mean, you even look at the shape of his body compared to what he used to look like. He's a pro.
He might have learned a few things from playing on Uri. You need a second and a third effort because you'll go. Hey, what have we learned about the Lions from their last couple of finals, Brownie?
Question their bona fides now as a genuine contender. I know they beat Richmond that first final last year. I thought Richmond were off that night, but now you've got to ask the question of that midfield group, that much vaunted midfield group. Have a look at the numbers. So, absolutely blown away by Geelong in that preliminary final last year. They were bullied, and tonight they were bullied by the Melbourne midfield. So you need to look closely at that. I know Lachie Neale played a bit of a lone hand in there tonight. Zorko, Lyons, McCluggage, Robinson, Bayley, all disappointing. So Bayley, a younger player, but they weren't able to handle the heat. And they weren't able to win the football in their own right. So their composure under pressure was very ordinary, and their ability to spread to the next contest was ordinary. So got to ask questions now of Brisbane. Are they a genuine top four contender?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard from here.
See what they have to do now. They have to lick their wounds and they have to get themselves ready to play again in a week's time. So in 2018 they made a preliminary final. They're there again. One more win, boys, and they're into a grand final.
Absolutely. They were magnificent tonight. They're the clear favourite for me. Port Adelaide were good last night, but clubhouse leader.
Now, Chobani, key moment of the match. It's pretty hard to go past Bayley Fritsch. So they worked their way, or gave themselves a glimmer of hope, the Lions, with a 2-0-0 third term. And then early in the fourth, Brownie, this happened.
Critical kicks, weren't they, Jace? When a Melbourne wobbling, Brisbane had a sniff. If Brisbane kicked that first goal after three-quarter time, you wonder what could happen. So Bayley Fritsch gets the first kick at goal. He goes back, steals himself, and kicks the goal, and then he kicked a better one on the boundary about 5 minutes later to seal the deal.
You've had plenty of time to think about things, Brownie, and I saw you get a little bit emotional at different stages. A bit of anger started to spill out while you were watching the game. Who are you pulling aside for a coffee?
Well, winning a final's hard enough without crashing into your own teammates. So let's have a look at this. So Daniel McStay, a critical piece to the puzzle. I'm having a coffee with his teammates. Nakia Cockatoo Collins comes through.
You can't blame him for that.
Well, here we go. He just comes through. Jump over him. We need a better hurdler.
He's reaching for the ball, mate.
Broken nose there, Daniel McStay, very early on. And then later in the game, we couldn't take a contested mark to save ourselves. No wonder. We're spoiling each other. Have a look at this. Bang. Spud would have been happy with that, wouldn't he?
He spoiled everything that came near him, Marcus Adams.
Can you win the golden fist for spoiling your own teammate?
I'm not sure about that.
That just summed up Brisbane Lions night, didn't it?
I think there's a few of them that need a coffee. A headline from you?
Pretty simple one, Jace. It's more of a statement of fact, really, than a headline, and that's 2 to go for Melbourne. So they were in this situation before in 2018, and they got there in different circumstances, and it didn't feel real. This feels real now, and destiny awaits